Have you ever been invited to a party and as soon as you get the invitation, you've already decided in your head that you don't want to go because you know the type of people that are going to be there, you know what the vibe is going to be, and you just anticipate that it's going to suck. But then you do actually go to the party and it's not as awful as you thought it was going to be. I mean, it was still boring. It was still objectively bad, but it exceeded your expectations. That is exactly how I felt while I was watching Captain America Brave New World. Honestly, I expected this movie to be shit. Disney has been struggling to make quality movies over the last few years because they keep turning off their audiences with political messaging, and even when they don't incorporate political messaging, the movies still suck. It's like they have 8-year-olds writing the scripts for their movies.
You think this is over? Come on, let's go!
Darren, stop!
Tell me what to be.
I don't know, just don't be a dick.
I'm such a dick.
Never too late to stop being a dick.
Just days before the release of the movie, Vulture published an article which quotes a crew member who worked on the film, and they were brutally honest about the production. I think everyone knew this is probably not going to be a good film. They were right. I watched the movie on opening night and it was not a good film. However, it also wasn't what I expected. After I watched the movie, I really thought about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this movie is proof that all of us who have been pushing back against wokeness in movies, we've won. We have won the culture war, and this movie is proof of it, and I'm going to explain to you why. Hello everyone, if you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth time watching one of my videos and you are not yet subscribed, we already go together. Okay, make it official and hit that subscribe button. Today we have to talk about the latest Captain America movie, and just an FYI, I put a timestamp on this video for when I get into spoilers in case you don't want the film to be spoiled, but also I'm gonna give you a warning in advance. But yes, this movie, Captain America Brave New World, the original title for the film was actually Captain America New World Order. Yeah, I don't know what Dumb Bunny thought it was an appropriate title for a movie, especially considered that at that time we were still dealing with lockdowns and people, even up until now, people are still distrustful of the government and powerful organizations. So yeah, I would agree that it was a wise idea to change the title of the film. However, the new title is still stupid. There isn't even really a Brave New World in the movie at all, to be honest. Like, nothing revolutionary happens in the film. The plot is actually very basic, which I will get into more in a moment, but what surprised me the most about the plot was that they brought back very obscure characters from almost 20 years ago. Do you remember the Hulk movie, the one that came out in 2008 and starred Edward Norton as Hulk? They brought back characters and plot lines from that movie that happened almost 20 years ago. Towards the end of the Hulk movie, the scientist gets knocked onto the ground and an injury on his head gets cross-contaminated with a blood sample containing gamma radiation, and this gave him superpowers. However, in that movie, we never get to see what happens to him. We never get to see him become a villain, and that subplot is left on a cliffhanger. And almost 20 years later, they have decided to revive it.
Why?
This is the problem that Marvel has. You have to be a diehard fan to watch their new movies and understand what is going on. They have spent almost 20 years building a cinematic universe with 35 movies, 12 TV shows, and 2 specials. So if you want to watch this movie and understand all of the references, all of the plot points, all of the characters, you need to have watched everything else to know fully what is going on. And that is one of the blessings and curses of building a cinematic universe, because on the upside, they have consistent fan engagement, they have interconnected storytelling, fans get excited to see their favorite characters come back, and then there's cross-promotion of characters, which of course makes Marvel even more money. But on the downside, the movies have become very formulaic and predictable. The movie market is oversaturated with superhero movies, and the barrier to entry for new fans is very high because they don't know what's going on unless they've already watched everything else. James Bond, for an example, is a franchise where they've been making these movies for decades, but you can watch a standalone film and enjoy it without having watched everything else. It doesn't depend on you having seen everything else to fully understand what's going on. The MCU, not so much. And as someone who has watched all of the movies and some of the TV shows, even I forget who some of these characters are, what they've done, or why they matter. And so that's one of my biggest criticisms of this movie, which might actually surprise you because I'm sure you expected me to say something else. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know how I feel about woke ideology infiltrating every aspect of life, including TV and movies. I'm not a fan, and I went into this movie expecting there to be messages about white people versus black people, oppression, all of that heavy stuff that they had in the TV series Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I especially thought that that was going to be the undertones of this movie because, I mean, they released it during Black History Month and it stars a black man, and Anthony Mackie has recently gone viral for some of the comments he made during the press tour, specifically this comment.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
Now, a lot of people have taken that clip and they've used it to villainize him, but I want to be fair. If you watch the entire clip, this is what he said.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable.
In its full context, it doesn't sound as bad, and after watching the movie, I understand why he said it. In the first Captain America, starring Chris Evans, Captain America is meant to be a symbol of America. He is meant to represent patriotism, bravery, hope, and freedom during a war against a foreign adversary. However, the character evolves from just being a superficial figurehead for America to being a protector of America from external threats. And in this movie, Anthony Mackie's Captain America is protecting the President of America from internal threats. He is trying to help the President, even though the President doesn't want him to interfere. So in that full context, I understand why he said what he said. I mean, I think he could have phrased it a little bit better, especially considering the current political climate in America today. But this movie is in no way, shape, or form anti-American, nor do I think he intended his comment to be taken that way. So if you've already decided that you didn't want to watch this movie because you're tired of virtue signaling and race baiting, that's not what this movie is. And that's why I say that this movie is proof that we are winning the culture war, because it's very obvious, it's very painfully obvious that Disney went out of their way to make sure that the plot wasn't divisive. They did test screenings and they did reshoots and more reshoots. They changed the title. They removed scenes from the movies in an effort to make sure that this movie is as inoffensive as possible, which I appreciate. However, the movie is boring as shit, and it makes no sense. So here's where I get into spoilers. If you do not want the movie to be spoiled for you, here is where you can click off and come back to watch the rest of the movie and then tell me what you thought. And for those of you who are sticking around to hear me roast this movie, let's begin. So, what is the plot exactly? Do you remember this guy who first appeared in the Hulk movie almost 20 years ago, Thaddeus Ross? He's the President of America now. However, in this movie, the actor playing the character is Harrison Ford, because the actor who originally played the character passed away a few years ago. So Ross is now the President of America, and as the President, it is his duty to make a peace treaty with other countries because they're all interested in a newly discovered metal called adamantium. They were all adamant on getting their hands on adamantium.
Oh my God, corny, lame, boo, tomato, I'm throwing tomatoes.
The president learns that there is an illegal trade of adamantium going down in Mexico. The metal was originally stolen from Japan by the Serpent Society, but has made its way to Mexico, and so he sends Captain America and his sidekick Falcon to Mexico to intercept the illegal trade. Captain America completes the mission successfully, and in the next scene, we meet Isaiah Bradley, who was a friend of Captain America and also a former super soldier. All of the super soldiers at some point have participated in a program where they were genetically modified and brainwashed to have triggers. In this case, the trigger for the super soldiers is a song called Mr. Blue, and when they hear this song, they can be controlled and forced to commit violent acts. This is really stupid. So if they're walking in the mall, if they're driving the car listening to the radio and the song plays, all of a sudden they're going to be under mind control. I just thought that was a very stupid plot device. Like, if you're going to have a trigger, it should be more unique. Something that they can't just casually encounter unintentionally in their everyday life. But anyways, so Captain America gets invited to an event at the White House, and he brings his super soldier friend Isaiah Bradley. And at some point during the event, Isaiah, along with several other soldiers, are triggered after the song Mr. Blue starts playing, and they all start attacking the president. However, the president survives the attack. The 5 men, including Isaiah, are arrested by this lady, who is a former Israeli Black Widow and now works for the president. I thought that was an interesting plot point to have a former spy from Israel be the confidant of the president, especially considering the political climate in America today, but I don't want to get into that right now. However, I do want to talk about the actress. Why? Who made this casting choice? Have you ever seen a teenager who looked old and young at the same time? That's how she looks. And not to be rude, but it's just so hard to take her serious in this role because she looks like a child pretending to be an adult. And she's tiny. She's like Hobbit size. All of her fight scenes reminded me of the movie Megan, where this doll is going around killing people, but at least her actions were more realistic. They have this 4-foot woman fighting 6 armed men who also happen to be super soldiers. They all have super strength, superpowers, and they have weapons. And somehow she is able to overpower them. How? At one point in the movie, she throws a grown man over her shoulders, and I literally heard people giggling in the theater. And I understand you have to suspend disbelief when you're watching a movie, but it still should be within reason. Anyways, now that Isaiah and the other men are under arrest, this tiny lady is in charge of investigating their motives. Captain America believes that Isaiah is innocent, and he is determined to clear his friend's name. However, now the president doesn't fully trust him and doesn't want him interfering with their own internal investigation. So Captain America goes rogue and is now looking for answers to clear his friend's name and find out who was really behind the attack on the president. While Captain America is investigating, he is attacked by Gus Fring. Shout out to everyone who understood that reference. The character's actual name is Seth Volker, but he will always be Gus Fring in my heart. So Seth Volker was hired to kill Captain America, and the person behind the hit is revealed to be Samuel Stearns, the mad scientist who now looks like this after having his brain contaminated with gamma radiation. He looks like a villain out of a kid's show from the 90s. This movie is so unserious. So Captain America tracks down Samuel Stearns at Camp Echo, where he has been held as a prisoner for the last 15 years or so. It turns out that Samuel Stearns is super smart. He is so smart that he can calculate the probabilities of any event happening, and he's so smart that he can create very advanced technology, and that is exactly why he's being held captive. The president, Thaddeus Ross, is holding him there and using him for his intelligence. He promised Samuel Stearns that if he used his intelligence to help him become the president, once he was president, he would set him free. But also, the president has a heart condition which requires him to take pills to stay alive, and those pills are being supplied to him by Samuel Stearns, who creates them himself. So that is also why he's keeping him hostage, because he's afraid that if he lets him go, he'll stop making the medication. But his promise was, when he became president, he would release him. However, now that he is president, he hasn't set him free, and so now Samuel Stearns is big mad, and he wants revenge. I'm sorry, this plot point is dumb as okay? First of all, this guy is being guarded by super soldiers, and he literally has the ability to control their actions because he knows their triggers. All he has to do is play that stupid song, and he can control their actions, and he can escape. Whoever wrote this movie didn't even try. They didn't even try. This movie has like 5 co-writers, and they all sat there around a table and said, yes, this makes sense. How? How do you book other jobs after this? This movie is so terrible. Let me collect myself. Remember what I told you in the beginning? There was this serpent group that stole that precious metal from Japan, and then Captain America intercepted it in Mexico. So Samuel Stearns frames America, the country America, for stealing that metal by falsifying documents. So now tension is rising between Japan and America, and it escalates to President Ross sending warships to Celestial Island, where the precious metal adamantium can be found. But Japan also sends warships to that island because they too want to claim it for themselves because they don't trust America. At this point, war is about to break out, and it is up to Captain America to de-escalate. But matters get worse when Samuel Stearns starts controlling 2 of the American soldiers and forcing them to fire missiles at Japan. Captain America and Falcon intervene. Falcon gets hurt badly. Captain America has to do everything by himself now, and he does. He succeeds. Everyone cheers, and now Samuel Stearns is upset because his plan didn't work. So the president is victorious, and he goes on to hold a press conference on the White House lawn to explain to everyone what happened. Samuel Stearns then uses this moment to expose the president for holding him hostage, and he uses radio frequency to force the president to become Red Hulk. So it turns out those pills that Samuel Stearns had been supplying to the president had gamma radiation in them, and so the gamma radiation causes him to become Red Hulk. So now, Red Hulk and Captain America have to squabble up. Of course, as per usual, Captain America wins. After squabbling for a bit, he calms Red Hulk down by telling him, think about your daughter, who he has been trying to impress all movie because she wants nothing to do with him. He's a violent and angry man, and so she has distanced herself from him, and the whole movie he was aspiring to regain her approval. The president gets sent to prison. I'm not sure if this is a coincidence or not, but that's what happens in the movie. So the movie ends with the president in prison and his daughter comes to visit him. So in a nutshell, that's what happens. Isaiah has cleared his name, so he gets released from prison, and Captain America is the hero again, and he goes and visits Falcon, who's in the hospital because he was badly injured. And yeah, that's the movie. Okay, I left some stuff out, but you get the gist of it. Okay, as I said, Disney went out of their way to not make this movie about race or anything too overtly political. All in all, the plot was very vanilla. The CGI was trash. The pacing was rushed. I actually came up with my own idea for a plot that I think would have been much better, okay? I would have loved it if the plot focused more on Anthony Mackie's character becoming comfortable with his role as Captain America, because the original Captain America, Steve Rogers, he was a super soldier who didn't age and he had advanced strength and capabilities, whereas this new Captain America, Sam Wilson, is just a human. Like, he can get injured, he can age, he's not as strong as Steve Rogers because he's not a super soldier. He never took the serum to become a super soldier. He's just a regular man, a regular person. And so what I think is what they should have done was they could have had him trying to protect America, you know, by himself, and he gets badly injured by a villain, and then he has to wrestle with not being able to live up to the legacy of the previous Captain America. He has this internal dialogue with himself. Should I take the serum? Should I not take the serum? You know, he wants to be able to do the job the same way that Steve Rogers did, but he's a human. Right? He has limitations. And then maybe, you know, he goes to Bucky because Bucky's a super soldier. Bucky's his friend. Maybe he wants to get Bucky's opinion, and him and Bucky team up and they decide to fight the villain together. And then, you know, maybe Bucky gets stuck somewhere, and then now Captain America has to save Bucky and still kill the villain, right? And he manages to do it all on his own. By his own grit and determination, without the super serum. He does it on his own, and he realizes that yes, he can be Captain America without being a super soldier, without taking the serum. He can do it because, yeah, I don't know. Perseverance. Perseverance is a more appropriate word. I just think that would be more interesting, okay? These people need to hire me. Anyways, I want to hear from you. Have any of you watched the movie? And if you have, what did you think? Do you disagree with me? Did you think it was amazing? Did you like the action? Did you like the plot? Or do you agree with me and do you think the movie is dog shit? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. When you do, it helps other people find my videos in the algorithm. If you are not yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. A special thanks to everyone who is supporting me on Patreon. If you liked this video and you would like to see 2 more like it, I will have 2 more videos for you in the end cards. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.